Well, hello, thank you for joining me today again on the Church History Trail, and we're continuing here in the city of Derry stroke Londonderry, and where we are is we're actually outside Magazine Gate at the walls of the city. So quite impressive. And it's a beautiful day. And there's a wee bit of information here, which I'm going to read out to you. It says Magazine Gate. Magazine Gate is the city's newest gate, built in 1865. At the same time, the wall between Magazine and Shipquay Gates just down the bottom there, was raised by 2 metres and ornamental battlements added. A line of stonework on the outside shows the height of the original walls, which is there. That line of stonework that you can see there, that's where the original wall went up to. Then it says, above the arch are the sculpted heads of siege heroes David Kearns and Colonel Adam Murray. And so that's the other side then of the Magazine Gate. As you can see, there's the sculpted head. And of course, during the siege of Derry, conditions were so bad in the city for the defenders that many of them actually were hunting rats that had came to feast on the dead carcasses of the people, who were dying mostly from famine and disease rather than from enemy shot. And so they were killing these rodents and greedily devouring them because they were absolutely starving. And you can see the cannons there running along. And just whenever it seemed that the defenders of Derry would have to surrender through starvation, relief actually came. And it's hard to beat the account of the relief of the city by Lord Macaulay, who was a Whig historian. And here's what he says. It was the 20th of July, the sun had just set, the evening sermon in the cathedral was over, and the heartbroken congregation had separated when the sentinels on the tower saw the sails of 3 vessels coming up the Foyle, that's the Foyle River. And he says, soon there was a stir in the ice camp. The besiegers were on the alert for miles along both shores. The ships were in extreme peril. The river was low and the only navigable channel ran very near the left bank, where the headquarters of the enemy had been fixed and where the batteries were more numerous. At length the little squadron came to the place of peril. Then the Mountjoy took the lead and went right at the boom. The huge barricade cracked and gave way, but the shock was such that the Mountjoy rebounded and stuck in the mud. Just then the Phoenix doused at the breach which the Mountjoy had made. Meantime, he says that the tide was rising fast. He says the Mountjoy began to move and soon passed safe through the broken stakes and floating spears. But our brave captain was no more. A shot from one of the battery had struck him and he died. And he was actually hit in the head, so he was. And he says, in sight of the city, which was his birthplace. So the captain died, actually he was from the city here, which was his home and which had just been saved by his courage. And his name, of course, is Captain Browning. And this is a monument here to Captain Browning, Captain Michael Browning. Near this spot was landed the body of Michael Browning, master of the ship Mountjoy of Londonderry, killed in action at the breaking of the boom, 20th of July 1689. It says, while leading the van of the relieving squadron against the forces of James II and Louis XIV, he died by the most invariable deaths, I think that is. Inviolable of all deaths, in sight of the city which was his birthplace, which was his home, and which had just been saved by his bravery and self-devotion from the most frightful form of destruction. And then it says this tablet was erected from bequest to this city by Cook, formerly of, I think that's Boom Hall. But so that's the monument to Captain Michael Browning, whose ships, the Mountjoy, saved the city. And of course he was from the city, but he didn't live to rejoice in the victory because he was killed on board while he was actually rallying his men. And of course, whenever the Phoenix then bounced back, it was actually, whenever the Mountjoy bounced back, it was actually the Phoenix then, who was captained by Andrew Douglas of Coleraine, who doused at it then. And of course Macaulay says nothing of TMS Swallow and the longboats, whose men with axes cut their way through the 6-inch cable that actually held the boom together, because the boom had been put across the foil to stop the ships from relieving the city. And so recognising Captain Browning's sacrificial contribution to securing the gains of the Glorious Revolution, King William III actually settled a pension on his widow and tied a diamond chain around her neck with his own hands. And if you're wondering what this building here is, this is the Guildhall. So it is a fantastic building, no doubt about it. So there you go. So where I'm going to take you now is we're going to go to Shipquay Gate, and we're going to have a wee look at it.